Hi, fifth graders. Today we are going to start with chapter 25 of The Wild Robot. It's called The Egg. As Roz stood in the rain, staring down at those poor, lifeless geese, her sensitive ears detected a faint peeping sound coming from somewhere nearby. She followed the peeps over to a clump of wet leaves on the ground, and when she peeled back the leaves, she discovered a single perfect goose egg sunk in the mud. Mama, Mama! Peeped a tiny, muffled voice from within the egg. The robot gently cradled the fragile thing in her hand. Without a family, the unhatched gosling inside would surely die. Roz knew that some animals had to die for others to live. That was how the wilderness worked. But would she allow her accident to cause the death of yet another gosling? After a moment, the robot started to walk, carefully holding the egg. She moved through the forest and away from the sad scene, but she didn't get far before Fink burst out of the bushes. Here's their picture of the egg. What happened? The fox panted. The whole forest was shaking. There was an accident, said the robot. I was climbing those cliffs when the rocks started to fall. You should be more careful, said Fink as he checked out the robot's new scrapes and dents. I'll need your help if I ever have more porcupine trouble. I will be more careful. What do you have there? Said Fink, looking up at Roz's hands. A goose egg. Oh, I love eggs. Can I eat it? No. Please? No. Why do you want it? The fox scowled. I thought you didn't eat food. You may not have this egg, Fink. The fox sighed. He scratched his chin, and then he started sniffing the breeze. His nose, his nose had found the scent of the dead geese. You can keep your egg, he said as he trotted away toward the cliff. I smell something better. The robot walked on through the misty forest for a long time, until she was standing beneath a sprawling oak tree. Roz placed the egg on a pad of moss, and then she snatched grass and twigs from the ground and delicately wove them together to make a little nest. She placed the egg inside the nest, placed the nest on her flat shoulder, and climbed up into the branches. Chapter 26 The Performer. Up in the sprawling oak, the goose egg was peeping and wobbling around in its nest. Mama, Mama, said the egg. I am not your mother, said the robot. The egg continued peeping and wobbling until nightfall, when the gosling inside settled down to sleep, and the egg became quiet and still. The robot was about to settle into her own kind of sleep when she heard something in the underbrush below. Roz peered down from the branches and saw weeds rustling in the moonlight. A creature was crawling past, but the creature stayed low, hiding in the darkest shadow so that Roz couldn't see who it was. Roz wasn't the only one watching. A pair of furry eyes rose up behind a log. The ears belonged to a very hungry badger. He lay in wait as the shadowy creature came closer and closer, and when the time was right, the badger pounced. You might expect a creature under attack to run for her life, or to defend herself, or at the very least scream. But when the badger pounced, this creature just rolled onto her back, stuck out her tongue, and died. Not only was she dead, she was rotten, and the badger's face twisted with disgust. Ugh, what a stench! He pawed at the stinky corpse a few times and then gave up. No thanks, he grumbled to himself. I'd rather eat beetles. And the badger hurried off to find a less disgusting meal. Had that mysterious creature been frightened to death? And how could her body possibly rot so quickly? Roz was confused. And the robot became considerably more confused an hour later when the dead creature's ears began to flicker. Her nose began to twitch, and she rolled onto her feet and went on her way as if nothing had happened. A robot's voice called down from the tree. Are you alive or dead? The creature's voice hissed up from the shadows. Who's there? Why have you been watching me? What you just did was unbelievable, said Roz. I could not look away. Unbelievable? Really? The creature's voice seemed to be softening. I thought perhaps I overdid it when I stuck out my tongue. I was certain you were dead. Oh, what a lovely thing to say. Were you dead? Well, of course not. Nobody can actually come back from the dead. It was just an act. I do not understand. It's simple. I knew that if I played dead and really laid it on thick, that old badger would be so disgusted that he'd run off. And that's exactly what happened. We possums are natural performers. Oh, you're a possum. Roz's computer brain quickly retrieved any information it had on possums. You are a marsupial, and are nocturnal, and are known for mimicking the appearance and smell of dead animals when threatened. It's true, death scenes are my specialty, said the possum. But I have a wide dramatic range, believe me. I believe you. Have you done any acting? Said the possum. I have not, said the robot. Well, you should. You might enjoy it. You can start by imagining the character you'd like to be. How do they move and speak? What are their hopes and fears? How do others react to them? Only when you are only when you truly understand a character can you become that character. The two odd creatures sat there, one in a tree, the other in the weeds, and talked about acting. The possum went on and on about her various acting methods and her triumphant performances, and our robot absorbed every word. But why do you pretend to be something you're not? Said the robot. Because it's fun, said the possum. Because it helps me survive, as you just saw. You never know, it might help you survive too. Soon the robot's computer brain was humming with activity. Performing could be a survival strategy. If the possum could pretend to be dead, the robot could pretend to be alive. Or she could act less robotic and more natural. And if she could pretend to be friendly, she might make some friends. And they might help her live longer and better. Yes, this was an excellent plan. Roz wasted no time and spoke her next words in the friendliest voice she could muster. Madame Marsupial, it would be a great honor and an absolute privilege if you would kindly inform me of your name. Roz's friendly demeanor needed some work, but it was a start. Yes, of course, said the possum. My name is Pinktail. And you are? Leaves gently shook as Roz climbed down from the tree. It is a very lovely pleasure to meet your acquaintance, my dear Pinktail. A moment later, the robot stepped into the moonlight. My name is Roz. Oh my, the possum gasped. You're the monster. I am not a monster. I am a robot. And I'm harmless. Harmless? Really? Well, you do seem rather gentle. And I heard someone say that you don't eat any food at all, which makes no sense, but hopefully means that you won't eat me. I will not eat you, said the robot. I'm so glad to hear that, said the possum. And a moment later, she too stepped into the moonlight. It's nice to meet you, Roz. A weak smile appeared on Pinktail's pointy face. Roz thought things were going really well, but she didn't know what to say next. Neither did Pinktail. So the two friendly creatures just stood there together and listened to the crickets for a while. Well, I should be on my way, said Pinktail at last. Have a nice evening, Roz. Have the nicest evening, Pinktail. I shall look forward to the pleasure of encountering you again in the future, soon, I hope. Farewell. With that awkward goodbye, Pinktail slipped back into the weeds and Roz climbed back into the tree. And then that'll be all for today, and we'll continue with chapter 27 next week.